they went out to an island in the bitter water, in the ocean. And it was always fog and so forth and so forth. And before he left, he told people, he says, if you want, says, anybody wants to come out and see me, I will grant them one wish. Well, he was quiet. It was quite quiet for a long while, and finally there was 4 Indians, 4 men who wanted something, and they got a canoe. And the first man was very, very poor. He didn't have anything. He didn't have anything. He wanted to have a few riches or something like that, or a few things to make him feel better. The second man was quite old, but he wanted to live to be the oldest person in the world. And the third man was tall, but he wanted to be taller than anyone else. So he even used to do his hair up like that so he'd be taller. He put grass in the bottom of his moccasins to try and make him a little bit taller. So they went out in the canoe, and they got out to where in the bitter water, and they got out to where the fog was thick, and they couldn't see too far, but they kept on paddling. And pretty soon, 4 or 5 whales came up near where they were, jumping up and down, sounding and so forth. And they were afraid that these whales might overturn their canoe. But one of the men had a little carved whale, carved out of wood, which he threw in the water. And that pacified the whales, and they took off. The fog came in very, very thick, and or the currents were very thick, rather, very heavy, and one of the other fellows got a flute, and he played a nice song, and that pacified the currents. And another one, because the fog was so thick, another one took out his pipe, and he started to smoke it, and it counteracted the fog. And they finally realized the fog was nothing more than Glooscap Story. So they shouted out, they said, Glooscap, we want to see you, stop the fog. So the fog stopped. And here they go. They get up on the beach of this little island, Glooscap comes out, and he sees them, and he invites them in, and they have quite a nice evening together, and good food, and all this kind of stuff. And they got ready to go, and he says, all right, now I promised anybody that come out, I would give them one wish. What are your wishes? So, the fellow that wanted to be the tallest one in the world, he was given a bag made out of boxwood. And the man that wanted to be the oldest person in the world, he was given a bag also. And the fellow that wanted to be rich, he was given a bag which appeared to be empty. And so happened with the last fellow who, the only thing he wanted was to be a good hunter so he could provide for his family and so forth. They all got their bags, and they said bye-bye, and they took off and paddled back to the mainland again. And they got back there, and they split up. One man took the canoe. This was the fellow that wanted to be rich. He took the canoe, and he started paddling down along the coast to where his home was. And he got down there, and he got to thinking about all the stuff that must be in this bag that will come out when I open it up. But I don't want to wait until I get to my lodge to see what it is, because this is what Glooscap had told me. I had to wait till I got home. And so he opened up the bag eventually, because he couldn't just stand it anymore, and all these things came pouring out. Bows and arrows and bows and hatchets and blankets and all kinds of things. They came out so fast, he couldn't close the bag anymore. And finally it filled up the canoe, covered him up to where he was trapped, and sank the canoe, and he drowned down there. So the next man is walking back home, and he's the one that wanted to be the tallest one in the world. And so he had the same problems. He could not wait to get back to his own lodge. And so what he did is he opened the bag up, and he was immediately transformed into a big, tall, white pine tree. So he was the tallest one in the world. You want to be a white pine tree? No, good for you. And the third man was the one that wanted to live forever, and he had the same problem. So he opened up his bag, and he was immediately transformed into a very large stone or rock up on a hillside up there. And he wanted to live forever. He's still up there. The last one was the one that wanted to be a good hunter, and he went on home. He did it just exactly the way Glooscap told him. He went on home and sat around and talked to his family and so forth, and finally opened the bag. And there wasn't anything in it. But he listened. He could hear voices. animals that he hunted in the forest, and they were telling him how to hunt them. And so from then on, he was a great hunter, took care of his family, took care of his the whole village for that matter. And that was the story of the 4 wishes. Now, we got to find out what the next story is.